Want to make sure we're alive. Hi, everyone. We're glad to have our first interview of the year in 2023. And we're marking our interview series number 23, ironically. We've passed a long way with our mostly virtually organized projects, and we have very high expectations for the new year as well. Having said that, I'd like to introduce today's guest, Asror Arabjanov. Asror is a Stanford graduate, which caught our attention in the first place, and this is part of the reason why we're super interested in finding out who he is and what he does. We'd like to find out about his academic journey as we continue with our interview. Uh, he has previous experiences at White and Case, a global law firm, SFI Management Group, and Chortoq Mineral Water, Khantex. Uh, Welcome to our virtual stage.
Thank you, Hassan. It's a pleasure.
Of course. Let's just warm it up and get started with some quick questions that will require short answers. You prefer texting or talking?
What's that?
Do you prefer texting or talking?
Texting. Like,
Texting.
especially now. Yeah.
Ha. Okay. Where would you relocate if you were forced to leave the country? And where are you based in, first of all?
Yeah, I'm based in Bay Area in California. So yeah, I would relocate here. Like ever again, like the 10 times offer me, I would come here.
Back to the Bay Area, huh?
Yep.
Where the startup is booming.
Yeah. This is
Would you yeah. Would you rather be able to speak every language in the world or be able to talk to animals? It's a funny one.
Oh no, definitely speak every language in the world. Yeah.
Okay. Sounds good. Sounds good. All right. What are the things you're old to do but you still enjoy?
Oh.
If there's any. Or what
Yeah,
are you enjoy
like
in general?
I still watch some cartoons, some funny ones, but like I think they're all like for the old guys. Like anyway, the Family Guy, maybe. They're for the old guys. Anyway, yeah. I don't know. I don't have anything.
I see. I see. That's a funny one. I watch it sometimes. How often do you post on social media?
Yeah, a lot. It's to the point that it becomes problem.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. I see. At what age do you want to retire?
40.
40. Okay.
Yeah.
That's a good. Why 40?
Yeah, because like I mean, as early as possible. It's not, the life is not about all the work and stuff, but like if you find something you enjoy, you don't really want to retire,
Right.
and it's not considered work, and you don't retire really. But like from whatever you're doing right now with a full energy 24/7 or whatever you're doing, is that you want to like cut it up a little bit earlier,
Yeah.
spend time with family and stuff. And 40, I think it's very important time when your kids start to go off to college, and you and your wife can visit them, and all the beautiful things there.
I see. I see.
Yeah.
The question popped up here. Just wanted to, throw it out there. If you were to do a law school again, would you do it knowing the challenges?
Yeah, I would do it differently, but I would still do it.
Okay, I see. All right. Yeah, just want to hear the gist of it.
Beautiful question. Yeah.
Yeah. What does money mean to you?
It's a way of investment. It's a means of investment. It's a tool for investment. But mainly throughout my history, since I'm not that old now yet, it's been a very important thing to alleviate my troubles, because like you sleep well, you sleep much better when you have them. So that's been like kind of a way to look at, like, it's nice to have them, but like they're not super important.
Okay, so it's a tool to solve your problems, but also a tool to invest. I see.
Yeah.
Cool. Awesome. And how many pull-ups can you do in a row?
No, no, like
How physically fit are you?
no, it's like the none. Can I say none? Yeah, that would be the answer.
I see. I see. Probably time to get more physically active in the new year, maybe.
Like, warm it up a little bit,
Okay.
spend some time, but haven't tried in a while.
Sounds good. Sounds good. All right. Let's move to the main part.
Yep.
Uh, let's talk about where you grew up.
Yep. Yeah, I grew up in Kurgantepe city.
Mm.
It's a small town. Yeah, considerably small.
Anjidan.
In
Oh,
Andijan region.
okay.
Yeah,
You're close to the same city then.
yeah. It's a very close to the border with Kyrgyzstan.
Okay.
So yeah, I grew up there. It was a beautiful small hometown. It's like
Mm.
with all the attributes of beautiful post-Soviet Union small towns. Yeah.
Hmm. Awesome. Awesome. What did you go to school in your region, or did you go somewhere else?
Yeah, I went to school in my region. It was pretty close to home. I was just this 5-minute walk to school. And it's like you should imagine like the rural area, and the place I grew up was the most kind of a developed in a sense from a infrastructure perspective. But
Hmm.
like the
Central part of the rural area. Is that what you're saying?
yeah, it's yeah, that's
I
basic.
Okay, cool, cool, cool. We're receiving some questions from Bek Israilov. We just
Yeah.
want to say, please stay tuned. I'm not going to ignore your questions. I'm going to pull them up as we go.
Yeah.
Okay, who was Asrar when he was young? Like your characteristics, your interest in your social life.
Yeah, like Asror, like I was different at different stages. Earlier in life, like when I was very young from school, I was very nerdy guy who was reading lots of books, but who was also doing like a show and tell kind of things and the comedy stand up kind of things. But like later on, it changed a little bit. Like I changed schools a lot because maybe I don't know, maybe because of the school system, maybe because of the quality of the education. I was looking for a better quality education in my hometown. Jumping from schools to school, I was going to first. I jumped from a second class, like graduating the second year of school, jumping to the year 4. Then I was looking for another school. Then I was going to the special, like language oriented gymnasium kind of thing.
Mhm.
um so like it changed my character a bit because like as a child you really want to be accepted by your friends and do stuff, but like
Mhm.
then you start doing like crazy things. You become like
Mhm.
I mean, at certain point I was a bully in class. At certain point I was the
Uh,
nerdy in class. At certain
mhm.
point I was the comedy guy. But like I was changing my character all the time, and I
Mhm.
was changing who I was all the time. But like the only thing which remained constant, I think I was learning English from year 1 of school.
Oh.
So that was the constant thing in my life, and I was blessed with teachers in my life, which I was going like to private tutors.
Mhm.
Nigorapa, who studied in Turkish Lyceum.
Mhm.
So she was where, and she studied abroad for a while, and she came back to home.
Mhm.
And I was blessed with her. I was spending lots of time at her house, and I was going for private tutoring classes.
Mhm.
And yeah, that was the most constant thing in my life.
Mhm. Mhm. I see. Why did you get into comedy though? That's
No,
interesting.
it was like a class comedy thing, show and tell kind of things, but
Uh,
nothing serious.
okay. Okay.
Yeah.
I see. I see. That's awesome. That's awesome. So, well, like, you changed a lot of schools, so you're trying to get out of your comfort zone, trying to find better opportunities, right? And one of the main things you really admire about yourself is starting learning English at your young age, right?
Yeah, I did start to learn the language at a young age, but like the real knowledge, I'm guessing, didn't come up until I started really learning the language to be able to speak. Before that, we were just learning what the language was, too much paying attention to grammar and stuff. But like,
Yeah.
I can tell you the point when I really started understanding the gist of the language
Yeah.
is, I think, when I was like 15 or 16, 15, and I started watching movies in English with subtitles.
Right.
And I was watching Friends all the time. I watched, like, I think it has 240 episodes overall, maybe
Right.
more. I watched each episode like 20 to 50 times.
Oh wow.
I was watching with subtitles. I was watching with Russian subtitles. I was also watching with English subtitles. I was watching without subtitles. Like, I was forcing
Yeah.
myself to, like, at the beginning it was forcing, but
Mhm.
towards the end, like, my humor sense got like used to it, and I started understanding stuff, and it became like kind of funny. But like, if you watch it now, or if you watch it like the first time, it's not funny. Like, Friends is
Mhm.
not funny.
It's not funny, huh?
Yeah,
If you want
but like,
with your current perspectives and stuff, but back in the days, it seemed funny.
no, like, I mean, it might be funny even now, but like, those are like kind of a small life things which happen like with you. But yeah, it changed my sense of humor too.
I see. I see. That's cool. Um, it looks like it could be one of your friends or something. Uzbek Rajabov. I met abroad back in 2011 at UNDP. Don't know what it stands for. Let me know what it is.
Yeah.
Winter school. He was always really eager to learn more and came across as very intelligent guy. Good luck. Some good reviews on the go.
Yeah, it's a United Nations development project. I was interning there, and I
Oh,
think Jesur was studying at MDIS, and they studied in a winter school, but organized by the Human Development Project. So it was a like winter school, and we went to a trip to Chortoq Reservoir, the lake. So yeah, it was a fun period of life.
very
It was.
interesting. So it was a UN program. So you were invited to the program or something.
No, I was interning at the program. Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
okay.
I was interning there, so I was part of organizations team. So
Yeah.
yeah, the guys were participating, and I was just the part of the UNDP as I was interning there.
Cool. And how long did it last?
I think internship overall lasts over like 3 to 5 months, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay.
But the winter school itself, I think it was over the weekend.
Oh, okay. But did you get anything out of it? Anything valuable out of it?
Lots of valuable things. It's like me, if you want to imagine, like, it was, I think, the first year of university.
Mhm.
But if you want to imagine a guy coming from Andijan without any knowledge of how the world works, how the real world works, and especially coming to Tashkent and going into the most international organization there is. So starting to learn the culture of work environment from the international organization, it was really, really like mind blowing. Like,
Mhm.
I didn't work a day in our government organizations. So like, I
Mhm.
think that put me my attitude towards the work itself at the right. If I started like from a kind of a organizations like Kamalato stuff or other, I think it would like wreck
Look.
my attitude. But like, since I started from a international organizations, I think it put my attitudes towards work
Mhm.
to the right track.
Mhm. So that's awesome. So you jumped to the highest standard right away without trying to discover anything in the middle.
Yeah.
All right, sounds good. And just Rubik, let us know if there's anything you want to add to what Asror said. But that's awesome. Let's also talk about your education. For your bachelor's degree, you went to Westminster International University, right?
Yeah.
One of the most prestigious universities, I guess, in Uzbekistan. I'm not sure if it's still, retained the reputation till now, but yeah, it used to be. What was your major, and how did you like the quality of education?
Yeah, Westminster. I think you can still say it's one of the top universities there is in Uzbekistan. We
Yeah.
should start doing some kind of ranking. I would guess, but like the university was super cool. And again, like coming to the idea of like me coming to Tashkent for the first time and studying at this, like starting the study right at this university while my older brother was studying back in Andijan. He was going to cotton, picking up, doing kind of a Saturday chores, doing kind of a unpaid free labor, forced labor for the government, and doing all those things. And all the things involved in the education process, just coming to Westminster, like again, as it happened with UNDP, it changed my attitudes towards what the education should look like, because like it was something totally different from what I was used to at school, and it was totally something different from what everyone else, my peers, were experiencing back at the universities. So no forced cotton picking, no forced Saturday chores and doing all this stuff, and no like a different attitude towards the teachers or dean or the president or whatever there is just because of their title. Your teachers were either your friends, or they were just a person who would come into the class and teach you something and then get out. So they had no important role in your education. Like, I mean, from the perspective of could they decide your future with their mark or not, you didn't care about it, because like your marks had to go through like the second reading, and even if the teacher himself, the professor, didn't like you, like there would be second reader anyway, so you didn't really care, and your marks, grades didn't depend on them. So it was totally different attitude to the school, to the thing, and like coming from all this background which I had, to this British method of education, it was super cool. And I think it kind of also put my like my perspective on the right track from that point on. Yeah.
Okay, so I just randomly asked the question, which university has the highest quality of education? Let's see what answers we can get from our audience. So Farhad says Westminster, Inha, and Akfa. So okay, let's pick one. Let's pick one. Okay, so what's the percentage of like foreign teachers at Westminster University?
Now, I don't think it's that high. I don't think it's that high now, but still there are foreign instructors and foreign professors, but it's not that high, I guess. Like not like in any other school. But one of the most interesting thing I think Westminster achieved to do is to bring on the instructors and professors and all the people who had either foreign education, who worked abroad, or who did something abroad. And when they came back, so they offered them a job. I think that's the most interesting part. And like from my degree, it's a Bachelor of Law, which is like BA Commercial Law. I think for me, I would really want to see more local professors who are practicing law, because like if you know what I mean, because like Westminster teaches you British education, and the law is British law, English law. You're getting used to the British law in a country where you practice civil law. It's a Uzbek, the remains of Soviet Union laws and regulations, and even the current laws, which we're just blindly copying from whatever there is better, Russia or Kazakhstan. And you're coming from this British background, then having been forced to like work in that environment. I think it is useful to have the British degree, because like day by day we're becoming a part of this bigger global trade. So it is important to vital to have those people graduating from that university. But at the same time, I would really want to see more professors working as a law professionals, legal professionals in Uzbekistan, and at the same time instructing, like giving lectures in Westminster. I want to understand. I want to explain why, because the professor would be teaching you the English law, but he would also be telling you about the realities on the market, about how this is going to apply to your practice as soon as like once you graduate. And I have the professor. I have like in my experience, I had two professors like this. It was Jakub Jonisakov, who is now a lawyer in White and Case back in Tashkent office. He was also an instructor at Westminster, and Eldor Manopov, who is the managing partner at Denton's Tashkent office, and who had been working at Westminster for I think 17 to 19 years now, since from the time since he came back from his master's degree in England.
What is the second name you mentioned again?
Eldor Manopov.
Okay.
So like they are both like UMIT alumni. So as soon as they came back from their master's degrees or from their British universities, they started working at Westminster, most probably, and they do practice law. So they have a unique perspective. If you want to do academy, if you want to do the academic career, it's different. But if you want to practice law, you really want to hold on to those types of professors and instructors.
Okay. Wow, that's great. So professors have real life experiences in the field. They're not only like the people from academia, they have hands-on experience in law, they practice law, and that's why you're a big proponent of the university that you graduate from. I'm sure they have to, they have to pay you for
and like it's the only university which is providing English lawyers, British British lawyers with a knowledge of British law.
Yeah, I see. Nizamuddin is asking, what classes did you take?
Yeah,
couple ones. Yeah.
Yeah, the bachelor's degree, you mean? Yeah.
Bachelor's.
I don't remember. Like they were, I think, the torts classes, contracts classes, kind of constitutional law. I think if I can say the most, which I enjoyed the most, I think it was like alternative dispute resolution, European Union law, international trade. If I remember it correctly.
Like economics.
No, we didn't take basically. Like it was all law related classes.
Okay, I see. Someone says none of the universities has the highest quality of education, but Westminster, Webster, MDAs are remaining in trend.
So yeah, the basically the I don't know, the qualifications, it differs. Like if you go abroad and if you start like in a foreign country, that should be different, of course, because the I don't know what differs.
Okay. So do you still recommend people who have graduated from lyceums or from schools to go to Westminster University?
Yeah, I do. I do recommend them to go to Westminster University if the option is to go to a local national university. If the option is different, I have to be honest. Like if I had the option of studying abroad back then, I would study abroad definitely. So none of the like universities back home. I'm guessing I don't want to offend anyone, but like if the option is between some kind of university in Malaysia where you can just submit your application, pay your tuition, and study, then it's not different. It's nothing. So you better not do it. It's cheaper at home. It's like you're back at home. You're local. But like for the sake of like having the experience of going to a foreign country, forcing yourself out of your comfort zone, maybe you have to do it, but like you have to like consider the options. So that's the idea.
Okay, I see. Not sure if you know what LSAT means. Maybe if you
Yeah,
know.
yeah,
I'm just gonna pull it up. Avazbek, Avaz Khan is asking,
yeah.
did you study LSAT? About LSAT, please?
No, luckily no. LSAT is a SAT for lawyers.
Mm-hmm.
So what you do is that you study that to go to law school in US, which is the JD degree, Juris Doctor degree. It's for people who want to do JD in US. So JD basically gives you the right to practice in US. Like, so the degree which I did, LL.M, it still gives you the right to practice in US in jurisdictions where you qualify, but it's not considered the Juris Doctor degree. It's a master's degree, but it's not Juris Doctor degree. So for the JD, you have to study LSAT, but for LL.M, none of the universities require LSAT. So it's like your background, your practice area, because like it's for working professionals. Whilst in JD, what they do is that it's a it might be working professionals, it might be students just out of bachelor's degree, but like they wouldn't have the exposure to law. So in LL.M, the requirement is that you have your first law degree and you have had practiced law. So they don't require LSAT.
Okay, I see. Hopefully it was useful for you.
Yeah.
Thanks for the question. And someone earlier on asked, Farhad asked, please tell us about how you motivate yourself. Let's talk about you, like coming from Andijan and then going to different schools and then moving to Tashkent. I see the trend, right? You're trying to get out of your comfort zone, get out, change your geographical location, raise your standards. Like, what keeps you motivating? Let's just relate this to the things that we discussed already.
Back at home, like, yeah, I want to tell a story from back home, from when I was young. It beautifully relates to the motivation thing. Like back home, we always used to have like big numbers of cattle. So we were like, as a family, we're big cattle owners, and we like my grandfather was from my father's side was an veterinary. So he was the. Am I saying it? But
Veterinary. Yeah.
Yeah. So our family always used to have cattle. So from young age, as soon as we could do something, I was working, and my brother and I were working at the family farm. So it's a tough job. Like you don't really go to it's not Switzerland where you just take your cattle and roam around beautiful Alps and stuff. But like we used to have that when the borders were open, like people would go to Kyrgyzstan, Alay Mountains and stuff. But like now, not anymore. It's just you're in a small place. You just take the stuff, you feed them, you clean after them and stuff. Like, so what my father would say, like, me and my brother coming home after a long day of working, like you go to school, then you go to, like, in the morning you wake up, you feed the animals, you clean after them, you go to school, assuming that you clean right, because all the odors which come from your clothes, and you come back, you feed the animals, and you go back home, and you're tired as hell. And my dad, what he would used to say, like, are you tired? And we would say yes. And he would say, like, if you don't study, this is your life. So that's the, like, I think you pointed it correctly. The trend in the background is that to get out of there, to get out of that thing, because, like, I don't know, like, it is still a good job. Maybe people love it. It's a nice thing to do. But like for me as a kid who was like, yeah, it's a family work, but it's still like it's a forced work. But like you want to get out of there as soon as possible. So I think it has been the biggest motivation so far.
Okay. Wow. So growing up, you had a tough life in a suburb, and you had a strict regimen, which was, I think, good for you. By your father, you just had to work. You just had a strong schedule. You had to go to school, but you were highly dissatisfied with the level of life that you had, right? So you wanted to grow out of it. So would you say like your dissatisfaction helped you, get out of your comfort zone? Is that what it is?
I don't want to put it as a dissatisfaction.
Hmm.
Like
Hmm.
I want to put it as a like uh, in comparison to, would I want to be doing that throughout whole my life or
Hmm.
not?
Hmm. Hmm.
So I think that was a level, because like from the satisfaction level, I still want to point out that I was like luckier than all my peers growing up, because like uh, being forced to do all this stuff, like we were getting all the good stuff too, because my father was balancing everything. He was like, if you're forced to do those kind of things, if you're forced to do those kind of things, then you would get like for my birthdays, I would get the latest game consoles ever. Like I would get the Sony, I would get the Nintendo, I would get the PlayStation 2 or whatever there is. And I got the first, I think in our neighborhood, first computer with the
Hmm.
printers, with the scanners and everything. So
Yeah.
like it was a balance of things where he was
Hmm.
forcing us. I think it was an educational tool for us of his, and it turned out to be correct. So giving the right balance of like doing things so that you don't have the time to like to do something wrong where it was easily an option.
Hmm.
Um,
Hmm.
yeah, that's kind of it.
Perfect. Perfect. All right. Cool. We had a good conversation about your, young life. Let's jump into a more serious conversation, which
Yeah.
is your transition from, being in Uzbekistan, going to Westminster University, jumping to, the what do you say? One of the top 10 universities in the world, I would say, right?
Yeah.
Uh, that maintains this title for the past like maybe 40, 50 years. And the competition level is super high. And I'm talking about the university that you went to, which is Stanford. Let's talk about it. How did you get into Stanford, and what were the challenges, and what motivated you to get into Stanford?
Uh, Starting from motivation, it was my wife. There's
Mhm.
nothing like, it was still like, maybe it got to me as a habit that I have to be forced by someone to do stuff, right?
Mhm.
So I think my wife has been really important in that journey, because like graduating from bachelor's at Westminster, lots of my friends, like I think 80 to 90% of my friends, of my peers who are surrounding me, they went abroad to study to get their masters,
Mhm.
or they went like just out of bachelor's and did something. Um, so people were doing interesting stuff, right? And but for me, that wasn't the option, because like uh, I was working throughout the bachelor's years. I was working as an intern in a law firm. Then I started. I got the more full time position with a wholesale fuel wholesaler, and like I didn't have the break between bachelor's and the career, right? So
Mhm.
I didn't have the luxury of sitting and thinking, do I want to do the masters or not?
Yeah.
So I, I I never decided to do masters. So as
Mhm.
like when people would ask me, when do you want to do the master's degree and stuff, like as it was the as you had as you had no option, like you have to do the master's degree, right?
Yeah.
So people would ask me, like, when do you want to do it? My parents would ask me, what do you want to do? So I would say, yeah, when I have the money for the top three universities, top 10 universities, because they cost money, Harvards and Stanfords of the world and Yales of the world. So then I would say, when I make enough money, then I would go.
Yeah.
So then it became habit. I continued 5, 6, 7 years with the same story. Then I married, and my wife told me that, yeah, if you want to do it, you have to do it now, because like when we have the kids and stuff, like you might not have the time.
Okay.
So then we started applying, and it was like coordinated effort of two people for more than 1.5 years of picking universities, applying to universities. But like luckily for something, we got into our first choice.
How many universities have you applied back in the days? Like,
I think in total somewhere around 10 to 12 universities.
no way. Wow.
Yeah.
So they were all top universities like Stanford?
Yeah, the strategy was that you have to choose 3 top universities in US, 3 mid-level, and 3 like low level, like towards the hundreds of the times higher education ranking. So like 1, 2, 3, 51, 52, 53, and 100, 101, 102. So you see yourself and try out which universities you fit in, and so you get into at least one. So I did apply to Stanford, Harvard, and Columbia. I did apply to, I don't remember even the others, like the mid and the low level universities, but you wouldn't say them as low, but like subjectively, like from the rankings point of view, they are considered like, yeah, the
Low.
acceptance rate is higher.
I see. We're receiving some questions from Farzan and Elbek. Stay tuned. We'll definitely, touch on them. So let's talk about the application process. You applied for 10 universities within a year and a half.
Yeah.
And were the application process the same, or like you used the same application? Like, let's say you wrote an essay or you wrote something else, some paper, right? Did you submit the same thing to other universities as well, or you had some
No.
strategy? Or
Yeah, like from the essay point of view, you don't want to do that, because like each university has their let me come from this point. Like in many other degrees where they require LSATs or GMATs or SATs or whatever, they have some metrics to put you on a scale, right? They have the metrics. But in our degree, the LL.M, they don't have the metrics. They don't really have the metrics. They cannot put you anywhere. So you come just with your diploma from the bachelor's degree, or for your it doesn't have to be bachelor's degree, it has to be your first degree in law. So you come with your degree and all your experience, and they have to put you some kind of a scale, right? But they don't have that scale because you don't provide any metrics. They don't require metrics. So it becomes a more difficult choice to differentiate you out of your recommendation letters and essays. And essays are an important part. So if you don't answer the right question which they're asking, and if you don't tailor their essays to the questions they're asking and to the university's overall background and the law school specific background and the professors who might be reading it, their specific background and their interests, and they answer the question of not only what university gives you, but also like the most important is that what you give to the class, what you contribute to the class, which is most important. And like for each university, for each law school, it is different. So it's totally different. So I wouldn't recommend anyone to do a one recommendation, one essay, and then applying to other universities. You just want to do, if you're applying to 15 universities, do 15 essays. So like if the stakes are getting into Stanford or Harvard or Yale or not getting into them, you want to spend the time and write the 15 essays, right? So it's no brainer.
So it's worth the investment of time, right?
Of course. Like especially when you're like when you have the funding, when you have the like the funds like LL.M or whatever supporting you, and they're ready to pay whatever the university. You don't want to pick the like I don't want to pick names, but you don't want to pick like university at the hundreds level place, like when you have the chance to get into Harvard and Stanfords of the world.
Yeah. Okay. I see. So you want to tailor your essays, make sure they're customized and answer the questions directly.
Yeah.
You don't want to, you don't want to call it plagiarize, but like you don't want to use the same essay.
Plagiarize yourself.
Yeah, don't plagiarize yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah, I see. Cool. What are the three things that students have to, applicants have to pay attention to during the process of application? If you can point out the essay, maybe also the what do you call it, testimonials, or what do you call them?
The
Personal
recommendation letters.
recommendations
Yeah.
letters. What are they? If you could just quickly
So
point out.
yeah, I think for law school students, for LLMs, it's the most important thing is that you do your essays correctly, and I think those have heavy weight. And your essay should tell a story which your resume doesn't. So you have to put up a resume, preferably US style resume, which tells a lot about you, a lot your experience, a lot about your background.
Yeah.
So essay tells a story between the lines of those resume. So I mean, like you have done certain things, you have gained certain experience, which you want to highlight, like the academics and the professionals and your ability to negotiate stuff, your ability to draft a 200-page contracts and stuff. But you want to write them down. But also there are stories in between the lines which are really important for you as a person and for the university to consider you, right? You don't want to, like, you cannot tell those things in your resume. So resume is important, is a very, very important part because it tells your journey, what you have done. Your essay, like then your recommendation letters, they support your resume, right? So certain things which you said you have done, you want to support them with a recommendation from a person who can really talk about you yourself as a person and a professional, not your friend, not your what. Like either it's your academic instructor or it's your direct manager back at some job. So you want to get 2 or 3 those kind of people. But if the university which you're applying pays attention more to research, you want to get more your previous professors. But if the university like Stanford is more practice oriented, you want to get more from a professional background, the recommendation. So recommendation letters, they back you up your resume. And then in between the lines, there is your personal story, what you have done, what's really important, why you have done it, like the questions which you have asked, like what has led you to the idea that you want to apply to Stanford, and why you're correct to that place. What can you contribute coming from your experience?
I see. There's some relevant questions here popping up. Asror Arabjanov, did you graduate Westminster University with first class honors or upper second, and did it impact on your application? If you could,
Yeah. This is a cool question, and it's really important question because like many people coming from the university, when they cannot get the first class honors, which is the highest degree at Westminster, they think, I cannot now apply to proper universities, to a prestigious universities. It's not the case. The universities, especially like I'm talking about the legal like law degrees, right? So the universities which are academia oriented and the top ones, they do pay attention to your degree, to like, is it first class honors or is it second class? Because like they want to understand you as a person who is disciplined, who can write things, who can do research, who can study the subjects, right? So these are the most important things. But for the universities which are teaching you the skills to practice law, it's not that important. So for me, for my application, it was the kind of things like when you apply into universities like Oxford or Cambridge or Yale, which are really research oriented in most of the things, and the professors there are. So they do pay attention. The Yale, they just straight away, LL.M degree Yale, they write that it is for the professionals who want to study, who want to continue their career in academia. So they would pay attention if it's the upper second class. Most likely they wouldn't accept you. But the universities, which like Harvard and Stanford, which are practice oriented, they don't care. They like, as soon as it's not bad at all, like the cert class or without any degree and stuff, like if you have the first degree in law and after your upper second class degree you had a meaningful career to back it up, so that like still people with upper second class degree, they're still professionals. They made some mistakes maybe when they were studying their bachelors. They didn't pay attention to class, or they were working 3 jobs like I was working, so they couldn't get the first class honors degree, which I didn't. I didn't get the first class honors. So yeah, this is the thing. Like if you want to do the Oxford and Cambridge of the world, then you want to make sure you get the first class. If you want to practice law, if you want to do stuff, like it's not that important. Pay more attention to what you're doing around, what you're working with, who you're working with, and what you're doing. So yeah, spend that time. But like it's easier to get the first class honors now. If you have the ability to do that, just get the first class honors. If you don't, like, don't overthink over it.
Perfect. Hope Abrar got the answer to the question. Awesome. So your previous educational achievements may or may not matter depending on the school that you're applying for, right?
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. And someone is asking a question. Would you like to start your blog one day, maybe on your education at Stanford, something that could be useful, maybe in Uzbek, for Uzbek?
No, I do write in Uzbek a lot. I do write in my small Telegram channel. I just share stuff, and I do write on Twitter a lot. It's mostly like the lifestyle, like what you're doing, the politics and technology and stuff. I share in Uzbek because like Twitter has a vibrant Uzbek language community. So it's really important, and the conversations there are really kind of interesting, and it keeps you busy, and like that takes a lot of your time.
Yeah.
But I also write on a blogs on a Kyrgyzstan newspaper news, that the media. I write on startups and stuff. So yeah.
Okay, so we'd love to share your Telegram channel, so if you're willing to share on our on our YouTube channel and other platforms. Thanks for the question. Another question that might be relevant. I'm not sure if you know the answer, but please go ahead and take a look. What can you say about CS, Faculty of Software Engineering at Stanford? If you could, if you have any friends.
Yeah, that's a top degree which you want to get, like Stanford, MIT, Caltech. Those are the top like computer science degrees which you want to get. Like definitely, like if you at Stanford, you have more direct exposure to people who are doing their own projects, like startups and stuff. Like then you want to be part of the team, or you are closer to top tech companies. So that's the one of the good parts. Like, but if you get into any other like top universities like MIT, like Caltech, or whatever, like those are the important ones. So yeah, I think the from computer science background, I think that's Stanford is a top degree.
Okay, perfect. Thanks for all your answers. Trying to, manage the time. We're already on the 48 minutes of our interview. Let's also talk about your work experiences. Farzana was asking earlier, in which law firm have you been practicing during your bachelor's degree?
Yeah, I did work. I started with a law firm with a IP background, which is Legal Max. I worked there like short time, I think 1 or 2 months. Then I joined Grata International Law Firm. So I worked with Grata with then the managing partner Babur Karimov, who then became recently he became the deputy for the anti-monopoly committee of Uzbekistan. So yeah, I worked with him under his management for more than a year, I might say. So yeah. Yeah, those are the two law firms which I worked when I was studying bachelor's.
Okay, so you did it while you were studying, right?
While I was studying, it was like, yeah,
Okay.
it was internship, kind of year long, like you wanted. So the reason is that, as I told you before, that you don't get to study Uzbek law when you're studying at Westminster, right? So I wanted to be exposed to practice right away, and the only option was to go out and find your law firm. So after the second year, I think me and my friend Sherzad Utkirkhojaev, who has his own law firm right now, it's a settled law firm, we went out to law firms and like we asked the president of the school of Westminster to write us a letters to the law firms if the law firms wanted to offer internship. So they, like, if they want to come and present their internship opportunities, it's a free workforce for them, like free, maybe cheap workforce for them, and it's a good opportunity for our students to practice law. So I really think it's really important to start practicing law as soon as possible.
Okay, so get a hands-on experience as you go into school, which will be, I think, useful for your future application for master's degree or something, right?
Yeah,
I'm sure it just helped you,
And it's not only masters. Like if you start early, you might not be forced to look for a job when you graduate. So
right, yeah, okay, sounds good. And all right, I think we missed one of the questions that was very interesting. Let's talk about your education years at Stanford. What did you
yeah,
like? What did you not like? And your life in the U.S. in general, compared to your life in Uzbekistan.
yeah, I like. I want to put the disclaimer on. Like, I really love Uzbekistan. I love Tashkent. I love the place which I've been living in, Tashkent, for the last like 6 to 7 years. It's a beautiful neighborhood. For the past 2 years, I even stopped using my car. My wife was using the car. I was biking. I was scootering to work. I was taking a walk to work. It was a beautiful place. Like, it's not the Tashkent which they're describing right now from the news, the cold, the no electricity, no like natural gas Tashkent. It was a beautiful Tashkent. Like I still believe it is. So I really love it. So coming to Stanford, coming to US, I didn't hope for something that would change a lot, and I wasn't looking for my life quality improve. But on the contrary, I was expecting my life would like go down the hill, because like I knew that I'm coming to the most expensive place on earth. So me spending in Tashkent like for $500 per month on a rent, I was getting the best deal on the market. Like here at Stanford, you could spend $3,000 and you still get the studio apartment with a like 17-year-old renovations and stuff. So the exact thing happened, but there was the only exception that when we started, we lived at Stanford housing, so the quality was pretty good. And the quality of the neighbors and the people which we talked to, they were at the highest level. So from the networking perspective, from everything else, like it compensated the quality of life which we gave up living in Tashkent. So my wife was enjoying herself, but like imagine coming a 5-bedroom apartment in Tashkent to a studio apartment in Silicon Valley. So that's your life changing in a second. So from this perspective, it did change a lot, but we gained from the quality perspective. And a lot of neighbors we had, a lot of friends we had, they kind of compensated of what we had back at home, because like you cannot like change your life like this, like your friends, your family, which you have your routine. You go out Friday night, you go out, like do stuff, like, and you coming there, you have to give up something and you have to gain something, right? We gained a lot.
Trade-off.
Yeah.
Interesting. So return on investment in Tashkent for living was more than you're living in.
Yeah, like
area.
from the quality perspective, like if you consider the housing, if you consider the like going outs and stuff, but like in general, we don't spend that much. Like Tashkent is pretty expensive city from the point of view, like the
Crazy.
food, right? If you want to do groceries, you spend the same amount of money here. But from the perspective of like private property, renting, and like going out, it's like the quality of life differs.
Did you experience any culture shocks when you moved to the US?
I don't know, because maybe I was coming the second time to US. I did come to US 2012 as a summer work and travel student.
Nice.
I spent most of my time at a kind of a resort city of Lake City back in Colorado. It was a beautiful time. So like from this, I think because of this, I didn't really get the shock which everyone keeps referring. But what I did was like starting the year was like this, the fraudster syndrome, like imposter syndrome. Imposter syndrome. I mistake on that a lot. So imposter syndrome, it doesn't leave you like anytime, because like you are in a pool of geniuses. Like you are like, every time you talk to someone, you open a totally new world for yourself. It is useful for you, but if you're not ready to accept the fact that you're not the top, and everyone else which you're talking to is the opportunity to learn for you, so then you might get yourself into a depression. So you have to come with the right attitude.
Okay. Sounds good. Sounds good. And when it comes to like life in general in the States as opposed to like your life in Uzbekistan, is there any difference? And what is good and what's bad about living in Uzbekistan and living in the US? Other than like, let's say, the comfort of like having your own apartment in Tashkent for low cost. Outside of that, what else can you say?
Yeah, I don't think at this moment it differs a lot, because like we were blessed with lots of friends who surrounded us. Our closest neighbor from Kuwait, and the closest friends which lived there, which we studied together, and the community which we had from the Central Asia, former Soviet Union students, the Stanford graduates who stayed at Bay Area, in Bay Area. So we gather a lot. So they gave us the feeling of home. So for us, it didn't make much difference. So we lost some friends, some usual routine and stuff, but we gained a lot also from yeah.
I see. I see. Okay. Someone's asking Hassan Azarov, why not Uzbekça'da? I'll just share it to a couple of interested people. We received this question a lot, and we never get tired of answering. A lot of Uzbek content is out there on YouTube and other channels and platforms. We would love to, we would love the young generation of Uzbek people to, learn English, practice English, go abroad, study more. And the reason why we do it in English is because we want them to catch up with the people like Asror Arabjanov and other guys who have achieved a lot in life, academically and professionally. And it's a sort of motivation. That's why we're doing Uzbek. If you have any questions, feel free to drop down below. All right. Based on my research, SFI Management Group, where you worked for a bit, was created to contribute to the development of Uzbekistan through active participation in the adaptation of enterprises to market relations, the introduction of international standards, attraction of foreign experts. What was your role at this organization?
Yeah, like if you want to hear the real things what they're happening back at like base A, back at home, which you're not really maybe not familiar from what's happening there. SFI Management Group was a company which belonged to couple of ultra high net worth individuals with ties to Uzbekistan. So when the 2016 happened, our former president died, the things started to change, right? So the idea was that to give the state enterprises which are not making money, or which people are not letting to make money, to a private hand, so that they manage the state assets, they prepare, they do the cleanup and stuff, and to bring those companies to IPO, right? So I was a part of before that I was working as Khantex, and then I thought what's something bigger to be doing to contribute to society, to contribute to the country. And I came across this decision of the government, which they said those companies like Al-Malik Mining and Metallurgy Complex, which is the gold, uranium, the copper, and most important, rare earth materials, right? Metals. So, and the Bekabad Metallurgy Factory, which is Uzbek Combinat, they would be cleaned up and be put into the foreign stock markets to be set. And I thought this is really nice, because my idea from the background is that I believe in the power of private capital to do good things, right? So I don't believe that the state and the government is the good manager. So I think if the companies, the state assets are brought, they sell their shares to foreign companies, they bring good managers, and they start changing the corporate culture in the country. It's a second. And as it happens with the foreign money comes the requirements of the investors to be able to enforce their rights in the country, right? So I saw this is a proper way for the country to start changing. When the Chevron came to Kazakhstan, they did require certain things, and Kazakhstan got a lot out of it. And when the other investors go to other countries, they do require the rule of law or whatever there is. So good things come with the foreign investors in most of the cases. Most of the cases, good things come with the foreign investment, and especially if those are the countries which do respect the rule of law. So then I saw this is really important. So I joined the team. I was the second person in the legal team of the organization. So we were managing the legal teams of those companies which were managing. And at certain point, the football club Pakhtakar was there, so which we were managing. So it was a company which was managing state assets, and it was big company. And I think overall, about 70 to 100,000 people worked in the companies which we were managing. Maybe more. But it's really, we manage the legal teams, we manage the foreign activity, we oversee because of my experience and my knowledge and my qualifications. I did control the foreign contracts, foreign economic contracts, and the foreign trade contracts and stuff. So yeah.
I see. So based on my own knowledge, right, I specialize in economics. FDI, foreign direct investment, is the number one factor in the country's economic growth, right? And you believe in the power of private capital, and states are generally poor at managing businesses, managing enterprises, right? It's better for privatization is a better way to growth. So as a law professional, what are some of the things that you could do to help this process to accelerate, the privatization, and connecting the investors with the local businesses and stuff? Is there any are there any things that government could take into consideration when trying to attract foreign direct investment?
Yeah. So now I am at the understanding that certain things which I participated, certain organizations which I worked for, they had the good plans, but it didn't work out for most of them.
Yeah.
I mean, the same with the privatization of the Al-Malik and Uzbek Combinat. So if the plans would work out, we would have the foreign investors, we would have the foreign money and stuff, and the corporate governance would be there. They would be starting to require all those things. But now I think the hope is lost as regards to state-owned enterprises, because like there is no other way apart from the political will. So we are now at the stage where Russia was in the 90s, the privatization process and stuff. Like we managed to keep some of the assets, some of the most important assets, like the gold and the rare earth metals and stuff. So, but we now have to decide what we're going to do with them. Do we privatize, or do we like keep in the hands of government? So if you look at Belarus, what happened? So it's not the best case scenario. Like it doesn't work out ever. Like I don't know. Like I didn't see any state company managing that well and doing a good job on that. So that's the same. Like, but I think now it's useless to be doing from the state perspective, as like as long as we have this form of government where the parliament doesn't take a role, and where people could be changed from their positions like this easily. It's no use. So the only use is that forgetting about that state companies exists, and for the younger generation to do their own job. So I'm putting a lot of hope on startups. So if you're like small, no one pays attention to your company. No one wants to take away your company. So you can grow undetected up until certain point. So like from the radars of the people who might want to take away your business. So grow your startup, do your thing, and when you reach a certain age, you have to certain stage, you have to get out of the country to invest, to get foreign investment, to get to become a proper startup, because Uzbekistan is a small market. It's a 50 billion GDP. No unicorn is going to grow out of it. So at this level, so you want to go out to Kazakhstan, you want to go out to Kyrgyzstan, Tajikistan, or whatever. So you want to expand your business. So if you expand, then you need more money. If you stay in Uzbekistan, like at this level of like court system and stuff, no foreign investor would want to like invest serious money. So you want to get out. You want to like get investments from other sources. So I think that's a very good way for the country and for the younger generations to build their own companies.
Okay, so one of the statements that you mentioned caught my attention, which is hope is lost when it comes to the establishing the rule of law. The parliament doesn't take active role in the government decision making, right? So but when it comes to startups, it's a different scenario, I'm assuming, right?
The hope is there regarding the parliament and all the things. I said hope is lost regarding the state-owned companies. Like we as a country now should forget that those companies exist and build from the scratch for our own project, because like there are people who want to control the resources. Let them control the resources. Like there are lots of countries like Korea, like Israel, and all the countries who don't have anything like rare earth materials and stuff, but they're still building. Like Israel is the biggest part of their GDP is the startups M&A. So when they sell the startups, like the previous 10 years, Israel had like budget deficit. So last year it didn't, because there was a couple of huge M&A Israeli companies being sold. So it affected their GDP. So like 18 billion to 20 billion of M&A activity happening in Israel. It's a huge deal. So if the same thing happens, I think you don't even need the state-owned companies to be there. So startups and the companies could become the next big thing. So when I said the hope is lost, the hope is lost regarding the state-owned companies. Like forget about them, build your own stuff. We complain about Uzbekistan Havayollari and stuff, like how the Uzbekistan Airways operates and how the GM operates. Why not build your own next Tesla? Why not build your own airways? Why not build something new from the scratch? Like start with a small plan and build that.
And when it comes to property rights and protection of the law of the businesses, let's say, are you confident enough to confirm your statements, like, hey, be confident, start your own,
Like,
enterprise, and you'll be
like
fine. And
if you like after that, like if you rewatch it, like my sentences which I said, like when you're like you have the chance to grow big undetected of the people who want to take away your business when you're small. No one cares about your business when you're small, because like people who really like want to take away your business, they don't have the abilities or skills to take away your business and to operate a startup, because your startup up until certain point, it doesn't make money. It's like they don't have the skills to manage your business. So
right.
you have the ability when you're a paynet, when you're pay me, or when you're a huge company, like when you become certain part of the big part of the share of the market, then they just take away your business and they operate your business at like that. But like up until you reach a certain point, you have the opportunity to grow undetected,
Right.
from the radars of those people. I still don't believe in the fact that they will not take away or they will respect your property rights. Like there's still huge questions on that. But like if you manage to grow big, and if you manage, even if you're in Uzbekistan, if you manage to attract some foreign investors, it will be so much more difficult to touch your business, because like when you have a foreign investor who might sue you in Washington and exit, like the people who want to do something to your property, they will think twice before touching your business.
Yeah. So yeah, the foreign ventures companies usually require transparency, right? And yeah, they bring in their own level of standards when they want to establish a business in a different country. But very interesting. You still have a chance to grow undetected until like up to a certain point, and then you may want to consider going global, I guess, right? Is that a good takeaway?
Yeah, I mean, like I recently read the article somewhere. It had the interesting perspective. Like after the COVID, now we're thinking of an idea that like companies being opened as a remote first companies, right? So like you're being open to remote first, and you have no borders and stuff. But now there's an idea that like global first companies. So like when you're opening, you don't target Uzbekistan as a specific market where you want to work. It's just a product, and you happen to be in Uzbekistan, and you happen to have the easy access to the market. You're just testing your product there. So in fact, you have to target your company in a way that it is ready it is built for the global market from the scratch, from the step A. So then you have the chance of like, you're not limited to the borders of your country. So that's, I think, the good way to look at. So don't build your product targeting Uzbekistan.
Okay, I see. Thanks for the answers. And I made a little research when it comes to startups, right? I just want to read a few statistics, right? I found out there are over 10,500, only just in food industry, 10,500 startups. And imagine the scale of the number of startups and the general number of startups in the world. Most of them, like 90% of the startups around the globe, fail. Lack of product demand is the prime reason for startup failure. It takes 2 to 3 years on average for startups to make a profit. And 61% of startups offer B2B solutions, while only 39% of startups offer B2C solutions globally. North America has the highest number of unicorn startups, followed by Asia and Europe. The United States of America, where you currently located, right, is the country with the most startups as of 2023. With all these astounding numbers, like 90% of startups around the globe fail. How can you encourage the young generation to start some startup venture?
Yeah, no, like this is really important point, and I guess I read somewhere, or did someone share? I think it was the economist, the prominent economist from Uzbekistan, Bezat Hashimov, shared statistics with me that he told that for the U.S. economy, even for the global economy, I think he was talking about U.S. economy. The like 99% of the 90% of the startups, like they fail, right? But they are really important in creating those job places during the period when they work. Like they are the biggest value creators there. So for the GDP. So even if like they are like destined to fail, they pay the integral part of the US economy, the global economy. Like even within their like small period of like, think about of a butterfly which has a short period, a 24-hour of lifetime, but like it manages to contribute to the ecosystem with its existence, right, within the 24 hours. So startups who fail within like 2 to 5 years, they are the most important part of the economy, right? So we have to have them. And when he told that average startup owner, average like small and medium enterprise owner, if he would go to the industry and find a job, the salary job, like within the period of, let's say, the 10 years where he would work at a startup, he would get the salary from from an industry job, he would be better off working as a salary man, right? So there is no huge contribution for him, like benefit for him to work as a startup owner or CDO or whatever, the second person there. But those numbers are really, really, really important for the economy. Like we have to have those companies open. We have to have those companies bring something, work on something, and sell their companies. It's like, even if it's a startup, it doesn't go to waste. Like if it's a good product, 99% of the chance that you sell your product, you sell your platform to someone else, you sell your client base to someone else, there is a value being created, right? And for the founders, it's the most important experience of their life. So maybe their second venture or third venture becomes really successful, but still, it is really, really useful both for the economy and the founders. You have to take those risks. I mean,
as we know from the concept of capitalism, there's creative destruction, right? What you're saying basically is it's a evolutionary process. They come in, they appear, and they run for a bit. They get acquired. It's part of the process, part of the general process, and taking part in this process is probably one of the most exciting things. Okay, let's also jump into some of the questions that popped up over here. We don't want to be ignoring them. Sardar Davlatov, are there any Uzbek VC funds in the US? VC ventures, let's say.
No, I mean, I think it's a venture capital companies. Like Uzbek VCs are not in US. I'm happy that there are 3, 4, or 5 new venture capital funds. The companies, the fund managers have opened in Uzbekistan. UzVC, Uzkart VC, Aloka Ventures, Sturgeon Capital. I think that they came to Uzbekistan. And a couple of other VC funds, Simurg, whatever the name was. So they are really important for startups in Uzbekistan because the infrastructure and the people who are growing their business, they should have access to money at the early stage. And startup financing is something different. If there is no like VC fund believing in startups, they wouldn't get financed. So yeah.
Okay. All right. Maybe there are some startuppers among our viewers. What would your advice be when it comes to like startup funds? How should they approach finding startup funds? If you have any recommendations or any connections, if you could share.
For Uzbekistan perspective, it's no brainer because like you are limited. Your choices are limited because you have a couple of like those like 4 or 5, and out of those 4 or 5, like only 2 have active funds, open funds who are giving out the money. So you're limited to from this perspective. But there are also like Kazakh VCs and like maybe Turkish VCs would want to pay your attention, but you're pretty much limited. Like when you're in US, you have like this 10,000s of venture capital companies, and you have this certain strategy of reaching out to VC companies which which invest in the same profile of companies as you are. But in Uzbekistan, you don't have that luxury of a choice. So you reach out to whatever VC is there. So this is the most important point. You get close to them, you reach out, you make the most beautiful deck which you have ever made, and you just pitch the most like effective pitch which you have ever done in your life. So you go to them, you talk to them, and you present, and you get the money. But the most important thing is that when you're getting the money, it's really important not to dilute too much, because like even in Uzbekistan, for like you can like they can ask to dilute you down like for a lot, for a huge amount, without really investing a lot, and it affects your further fundraising. Because like when you go abroad on your second stage, when you're now more developed company and you're raising the US or European or Asian VC funds, they look at your cap table and they say like, wow, you have really diluted a lot. And when you're the like Series A level, when you have diluted more than 50%, there is no motivation for the founders to continue, right? So you wanna keep your cap table clean and not dilute a lot. If you have the ability coming from Uzbekistan to bootstrap a lot, like to the possibility of like if you have the ability to bootstrap towards the end until you get your first US or European or Asian investment, do that. And if your first investment is from like VC funds, because you have to get the traction of local VCs in order to be considered for the foreign VCs also. But like bootstrap as much as possible in order not to dilute too much, but also kind of a I mean, yeah, that's finalized at this.
All right, could you please give like an explanation to a couple of phrases that you use, dilute and bootstrap, so that like everybody will be on the same page? What does that mean?
So the dilution means like when you're starting with your co-founders, let's say you're 3 co-founders, each own 30% of the company, 33% of the company at the first stage. Then someone comes in, it's a VC fund or the angel investor or whatever there. So when they want to invest $100,000 in 1 million valuation, you have to give out like effectively 10% of the company, right? So then each of your founders dilute in order to make those 10% room for the new investor. So that makes your stock number being decreased. Like its stock number remains the same, but when you issue new stocks to new founder, your percentage shrinks. So now you don't have the 33%, you have much less, but you have an influx of capital to your company.
Okay,
and we were talking about the bootstrapping. Bootstrapping is when the founder uses non-dilutive mechanisms of getting the access to money, so that you don't take the money from anyone as a equity holder, as an owner of the company, as an investor who holds the stock, but you use other mechanism. You use the client funds, which come like the revenue stream. You use other sources. You use your own money, like get a loan and then start paying back and stuff, but like not too risky loans. But using your own funds, own resources, or firm's internal resources to reach to a certain level, that's bootstrapping.
Perfect. Thank you so much. I appreciate your time and effort. Just wanted to mark something. We're already on a minute, hour, 23 minutes. Let's just give ourselves maybe another 10 minutes to wrap things up. And we'll be trying to, answer some of the questions that are popping up. Feel free to continue.
Like the point which I remember to make, especially coming from our region, Our startup, I've seen a lot of startups who has their kind of a local angel investors, which are either from a entrepreneurial background or the government, politically exposed persons and stuff. Like, if you have the ability not to take their money, don't take it. So because like it affects when you have a 50% owner investor in your cap table, when you're a startup, it affects your fundraising abilities on your next round. So
because of the power of decision making that they
so and VCs don't want a investor who doesn't play any role and who is a 50% owner. So the rule is the angel investor doesn't control that much. Yeah.
Okay. And as a law professional, why did you decide to get into a startup world? Why not like already established corporations that could be, more attractive, more, profitable as an individual? Like, I don't know, what motivated you to get into startups?
Yeah, like it's not basically startups. I'm actually now working at a venture capital company. It's a Draper Associates. So I am more paying attention to a venture side of the deal and startups to bring in the ecosystem in Uzbekistan. Also, working in the US, I think it's important to have a bridge between the Silicon Valley and Tashkent. So from this perspective, I think like living in Uzbekistan, we had only one source of capital, right? It's bank loans. There is no other source of capital. We have a debt IPO market. We have debt secondary stock market. It doesn't work. So there is no other capital, and there is no investment mechanisms in Uzbekistan. So with the private equity, with the venture investments, I think we can do two things. Like if it's a private equity and if it's a VC funds, we can do two things. We have the people who want to invest, and we have the startups who need the investment, right? So if we have enough smart investors back home, the venture capital companies or angels, they might gather the money to invest to the right companies. It doesn't have to be Uzbek companies. So we solve two problems. When you don't have the access to capital, you are creating one of the mechanisms of access to capital. And the second one is that you're creating this tool of investment tool. So that people do not invest only to new apartment complexes and ship. So the sheep. Yeah. So that's basically it. The idea was that to try to do something which we don't have and to try to contribute to the country and to society the way which I believe works. And hey, I'm in Bay Area, so like I think you have to that's the effect of the Silicon Valley.
I see. So what you're trying to do is you want to be a bridge between the startups that are popping up in Uzbekistan and the venture capitals or whoever, like the investment institutions that are in the Bay Area, or let's say generally in the States, right?
Hopefully.
And are you currently working with any startups at the moment?
Yeah, I'm working with a couple of startups in Uzbekistan, like general advice and stuff. Like, I don't know the level of the confidentiality. There are many successful startups which I have met and talked and learned. Like, there is Iman Invest from Uzbekistan. There is Tas Vision from Uzbekistan. There are many like Beautify, and there are many interesting other startups who are working in the market. Yeah.
I see. Cool. All right, let's see the questions. We probably missed this question. Nurullah Faizullayev, are you gonna return to Uzbekistan? If yes, do you have plans or projects to contribute to develop our country?
Yeah, we just talked about the plans and projects to contribute to Uzbekistan, serving as a bridge. And you don't really have to go back to Uzbekistan if you want to do something nice to the country. So yeah, I think it's at certain points it's much more important to do what you want to do and to do what's important than just the idea of returning back. So like, yeah, maybe I will be here as long as the U.S. immigration services do not kick me out, as long as my visa doesn't expire. So like, yeah, as soon as like my visa expires and stuff, I will return. So hopefully it doesn't for the coming couple of months while I am serving as a bridge.
I see. Awesome. And could you please, Nazim John Tajidin was asking, could you please name a few unicorns you like the most? We know that most of the unicorns come out of IT or fintech. What about the law firm like CLIO, LegalZoom, and Relativity?
Yeah, see, like yesterday we were talking about the, I think it's not pretty much in the legal environment, but like one of the deals which I participated, and it was beautiful deal. And the name of the company is a deal, right? So the DEEL.com. So it's founded by Alex Abouaziz, and it's a HR the platform. It provides like I think they appeared in 2020, like 2 years ago.
Oh, wow.
Now they are like this $16 billion company. So like they are decacorn now, appearing 2 years ago. So what they have done is that when the pandemics happened, people now the US companies and all the companies like around the world realized they don't have the borders anymore. They're not limited to the constraints of the Silicon Valley and the jurisdictions of the California anymore. So they started hiring from around the world. Oh, right. Sorry. So when they started hiring from around the world, my camera's happened something.
No problem.
When they started hiring from around the world, they know that they have to comply with the labor legislation of the country, right? So the deal appeared. What they are doing is that you don't have to work with every jurisdiction by yourself. You just work with deal. You hire everyone through deal, and like for as low as $50, they hire your personnel complying with every legal HR labor rules of those specific countries which you're working with. It could be India, Bangladesh, China, or Uzbekistan. So I think it's a beautiful startup now, valued at 16 to I don't know 15 to 16 billion, and the idea is really beautiful. And you could say it's a legal startup. You could say,
yeah, okay, yeah. Feel free to fix your camera if it's necessary. But let's keep rolling.
Yeah, I will just take my camera and put it.
Sure. Yeah, take your time.
Oh, sorry, something happened.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah.
No problem. No problem. This is a question that's not relevant to the startup topic that we started, but Irade is asking, hello, could you please tell about the tuition fees at Stanford? I think you should be able to find it on the website, but more specifically, what was the amount when you studied, but who did financial education there?
I paid myself.
Tuition. You paid yourself.
I paid myself, yeah. There was no like, there was no source of like, I did win Earlier to Meet the Foundation scholarship, but I decided not to use the scholarship. So,
okay, I see. Before we wrap it up, any other things that you'd like to bring up? Any concerns that you want to raise, or any questions that you want to answer?
No, I think I overshared today. Like yeah. Hopefully,
I think that was a very entertaining and fun conversation in general.
Thank you so much.
Some of the important takeaways that I was able to jot down. Growing up, you had a tough life in a suburb. Not too tough compared to your peers, but obviously in suburbs you're limited to your resources. And the best thing about you is you tried to get out of your comfort zone. You were in Andijan, and you went to Tashkent, the capital city, and you went to one of the best universities. And most importantly, you did it all with your own effort and with your own willingness, not by the not someone pushed you, not that like your parents pushed you or anything, right? Of course, they probably motivate you, but like it came from inside you, right? And some of the advice when it comes to applying for the universities. So make sure you pick a good pool of universities, at least 5 to 10, right? That's probably a good number. And you started it for a year and a half prior to the start of the education, right? That you may want to consider when you're doing your applications. And don't use the same essays. Tailor essays, customize them. And some of the important things when it comes to applications are like your essays, your resume, your recommendation letter. And your recommendation letter usually supports your resume. And make sure you have at least 2 and 3 recommendations letters from accredited teachers and people who have a good reputation. Well, whatever organization they represent. Your previous achievements may or may not matter depending on the school that you're applying for. For example, at Stanford, it didn't matter as much as it would probably have mattered if you applied for other schools in the UK or something, right?
Academic achievements.
Academic achievements, yeah. Believe in you believe in the power of private capital. States are poor at managing businesses, and there's still deficiency of rule of law in Uzbekistan. Hope is lost when it comes to state-owned companies, but don't lose your hope because there's other options like startups and create your own business. We live in the 21st century, right? There's a lot of free resources. There's a lot of free online resources that you could use to start some businesses. All right, what else? Startups are the biggest contributor to the economy, most important part of the economy. So you may want to, consider staying away from diluting and bootstrapping that he explained already. Stay focused if you start any startups. I want to appreciate you for your willingness to, talk to our Uzbek diaspora community. And I'd love to have you as our guest, every guest, on our following projects and stuff. And I'd love to stay tuned. And any final words you want to express?
Well, thank you so much for this invitation, for this chance to speak. I've given a lot of interviews in Uzbek. I think that those became really, really helpful for people, for the same young generation who are growing up now in Kurgantepe, probably seeing that and be motivated. Hey, like the guy is the same as me, like he grew up in the same conditions and stuff. So thanks for giving the opportunity to speak out and to share my experience. Thank you so much. I hope you enjoyed.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate it. Thanks so much for your time and effort. That's all. We appreciate it a lot. Hope, again, to talk to you again as soon as we get a chance.
Thank you so much.
Good luck.
Good luck.